Hello, and welcome to Loose Threads, a true crime podcast that goes behind the scenes of some of the most fascinating and frustrating missing persons cases in America, and the unusual and driven people who insert themselves into these mysteries. Why do people insert themselves into criminal cases, and what consequences have they and others suffered as a result? Does it ever really help? As someone who has been there and done that, I may be uniquely qualified to explore these topics. So join me as we investigate the many twists and turns of public advocacy in American justice. Last Thursday, July 10th, 2025, marked the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of Deorr Kunz Jr., and today's episode also marks a different milestone. This is our 10th episode and the final episode of Season 1. When I first launched this podcast, I wanted to explore something bigger than any single case. I wanted to explore what happens when ordinary people step into the world of true crime, when they insert themselves into investigations, sometimes with credentials, sometimes without, hoping to help, or sometimes just hoping to be part of something bigger. This idea dates back as far as the 1932 Lindbergh baby kidnapping, a case that was so sensationalized it caused a media frenzy, and perhaps even marked the birth of the amateur sleuth in the American consciousness. And ever since then, people have jumped in. Some have clouded cases and confused investigations, but a few have made all the difference. Take the case of Donnie Irwin, a Missouri man who went missing in 2013. For 10 years, his case remained unsolved until a true crime YouTuber named James Hinkle decided to get involved. As reported by the Associated Press, Hinkle used drone footage and scuba gear to search local ponds and drainage ditches himself. His persistence paid off. In 2023, Hinkle discovered Donnie's car submerged in a pond near Camdenton, Missouri, just a few miles from where Irwin was last seen. Human remains found inside were later confirmed to be Donnie Irwin. His family finally got answers, and investigators reopened the case with renewed focus. There are more examples as well. In the recent headline cases of Karen Reed and Gabby Petito, we saw that other YouTubers and social media advocates played a major role in bringing public awareness and tracking down evidence. It is clear that sometimes outsiders really do make a difference. What do you think, Threaders? Should outsiders insert themselves into true crime cases? Or do you think the risks outweigh the benefits? Let me know in the comments. In our last episode, we discussed the many conflicting statements and troubling behaviors of Baby Deorr's mother, Jessica Mitchell, and other adults involved in that case. In an interview I recently had with private investigator David Marshburn, he made the claim that family friend Isaac Reinwand was close to confessing during their time together. But here's the strange part. Vernal was reportedly with Marshburn the entire time he was interviewing Isaac. That alone raises red flags about whether Isaac felt safe or even free to speak. Adding to the confusion is the claim made by Vernal's criminal defense attorney, Alan Browning, that Marshburn is withholding a key recording from that time. A recording that others have allegedly asked to hear, but have never been granted access to. And the information held on that recording was allegedly so disturbing that Vernal is now no longer looking for his son. It's a murky corner of the story, but like so much in this case, it's a loose thread that begs to be pulled. I want to hear what you think, Threaders. What do you make of Marshburn's claim that Isaac was close to confessing? Do you think Vernal being in the room compromised Isaac's ability to speak freely? And what about that alleged recording? If it exists, why wouldn't Marshburn share it? Do you think it holds something incriminating, or is it just another dead end in a case full of them? Let me know your opinions in the comments. I'll be reading. This season, we've been looking deeply into the disappearance of Deorr Kunz Jr., the 2-year-old boy who was allegedly last seen at a remote Idaho campground. We've looked at the statements, the contradictions, the sudden shifts in the timeline. We've talked about the possibility that the camping trip was staged and that Deorr may have died before they ever got to the campground. We've heard from private investigators, family members, and witnesses. We've examined Jessica Mitchell's strange behavior, Vernal Kunz's changing accounts, and Grandpa Bob's reported bar confessions. We've explored whether Isaac Reinwand's silence is rooted in fear, guilt, or both. We've listened to the people who knew Deorr best, including Aunt Lynn and others who were there in the immediate aftermath, and we've asked hard questions about why no one is speaking up. And through it all, we've avoided one thing: conclusions. Because here's the truth. I don't know exactly what happened to Deorr Kunz Jr. This podcast doesn't trade in accusations or spurious claims. It merely serves to repeat what's been said and seen by others, those who were close to the persons of interest, those who have lived with the consequences, and those who are still hoping for answers. I contacted current Lemhi County Sheriff John Bennett for comment ahead of this episode, but he did not respond before the publishing deadline. According to a July 9, 2025 article by East Idaho News, the sheriff's office remains actively involved in the Deorr Kunz Jr. case and continues to follow up on new information as it comes in. Despite the passage of 10 years, law enforcement maintains that the case is still open and remains a priority. Since we started this podcast, a few other voices have emerged who are bringing their own style of inquiry to this case. One of them is Carolyn Kraft, at Krafty Thinking on YouTube. Carolyn's been digging into this case with a sharp eye and a sharp tongue. Her analysis is riveting, fearless, and focused on the inconsistencies in the public narrative. Another is Sergio Dinaro, at Truth Revealed by SD on YouTube. Sergio is a statement analyst whose recent videos examine linguistic patterns and deception markers in key interviews. I respect the work he's doing, and I'm hopeful it will bring more attention to the parts of this case that still don't make sense. I'll put a link to the channels of both of these fresh new voices for Deorr in the description below. I still remember the moment I first heard about Deorr's disappearance. The news was fresh. His cousin was panicking. The public was praying. Everyone hoped for a miracle. But by Sunday, I felt he wouldn't be found alive, and when I saw the parents' first interview on Monday, I knew why. It broke my heart. I thought, not again. Not another child lost to silence and secrets. Not another case where the truth would likely be buried deeper than the child. Still, the extended family seemed open to using astrology to help. I connected with Frank Vilt, thinking maybe, just maybe, I could gather enough accurate timestamps and insights to figure out what really happened. I got involved in this case on the very first day, back when the details were few and the chaos was high. I watched as confusion turned into misdirection, and misdirection gave way to outright deception. I tried to help, and I got burned more than once. But I didn't walk away. I've stayed with this case for a decade now, not just for justice, not just for closure, but because I believe in truth, and because I believe that Deorr deserves to be remembered by someone who was willing to see it through. To Vernal, Jessica, Isaac, or anyone else who may know the full truth of what happened in July 2015, please, please, if you know something, say something. If not for yourself, if not for your family, say it for the little boy who vanished and for those who still cry when they hear his name. Where is Baby Deorr? Well, Threaders, Season 1 is over. I've had a fantastic time sharing my experiences and thoughts with all of you. Stay tuned for more bonus episodes on the Deorr Kunz Jr. case coming throughout the summer. And don't miss Season 2 of Loose Threads, Unraveling the Disappearance of Ayla Reynolds. This is another case I was personally involved in. I will be bringing more behind-the-scenes, never-heard-before information, which may shift your perspective on what really happened and how the public was misled. We'll talk about my early involvement, the online battles, the anonymous blogs, and the quiet war for Ayla's story. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing to our videos and channel. Until next time, stay curious.